Automate data processing. In this tutorial, I will show you how to download the JSON with a historical data stock prices and transform it into a Pandas data frame to later analyze it. We'll create two functions that in just 2 lines of code we can produce the data frame. If I execute, they are not going to work because we need to define it, get data stock daily, write the logic of the function, and finally return the data. In this tutorial, we will show you step by step how to build up the logic of these two functions. To download the stock daily data, we can use these lines of code to call the API. Right now, we are calling the information of Apple, but if we would like to call the information of Microsoft, will we have these many lines of code that are repeated, or instead we can define a function, as we did before, that can return the final information of the data here? What would we like to change in the logic of the function? The symbol that we want to request, so we write symbol and use it as a parameter in the function. Then the starting date that we will use here, date start. We place it as a parameter, and now I can call the function to download the Apple data from 2023, the 1st of January. I execute, and then I get the historical prices for Apple with only 1 line of code. If I want to do the same for Microsoft, I can change the stock symbol, and there I have the historical prices for Microsoft with only 1 line of code without the need of repeating this many lines twice. Now we will build up the logic to download the data from the crypto. In this case, we return data crypto. We put everything inside a function that we will call getData crypto daily. In the parameters, here we have the symbol and the date start. We place them as parameters, and now we can use the function to download, for example, Bitcoin US dollars, the starting date 2023, the 1st of January, and we could also download the data for Ethereum. Only 1 line of code to download multiple symbols of the cryptos. And last but not least, JSON to Pandas DataFrame. If we download the data for Apple stock from the date start 2023, 1st of January, we save it into a variable, data Apple, and now we would pass the data into the data frame to finally have the data frame. Now if I download the data for Microsoft, I change the name of the variable and the symbol. I download the data here. If I want to transform this JSON into the data frame, am I going to repeat the same lines of code and change the data here? Also here, if I execute, I will repeat the same lines of code that I had for the Apple stock. Instead of doing this, I will put this into a function, returning the final data frame and all the logic inside the function process data frame. I will pass the data and the symbol, which are the variables that in the logic we use here and here. We define the function. Now we use it in 1 line of code for data Apple, the symbol. There we have in 1 line of code the data frame. We do the same for the Microsoft stock, data Microsoft, and there we have the other data frame in only 1 line of code. Now, if I open a new notebook and I want to download the data to continue another study, I can execute this, but I get an error because it's not defined. In the following tutorial, I will show you a way such that we can import a library that may be called utils and use the function from this library.